Jonathan Lee Riches, aka JLR, justice for Summer Wells. Summer Wells has been missing since June 15th, 2021. It's been over 8 months. Where is Summer Wells? Let's talk about Dawn Wells, right? Dawn Wells was recently sentenced, her father, Summer Wells' father, was recently sentenced to 11 months, 29 days in the Hawkins County Jail for violating his probation. He got sentenced on February 7th. Got some new information I want to share with you guys that I've learned and discovered about Dawn Wells while he's in the Hawkins County Jail. After he got sentenced and the sheriffs took him away to the jail for processing, he complained to the jail officials that he wanted to commit suicide. He complained that he wanted to commit suicide. So what that did was jail officials then put him in like a green, it's called a turtle suit, a smock, a suicide vest, and then put him in a dry cell for 72 hours. He wasn't allowed to communicate with anyone. He had nothing in his cell. He had a light on him 24 hours a day. He complained that he wanted to commit suicide. And then days later, we've heard a statement from Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, who said that Dawn Wells will not be in the general population while he's serving his jail sentence. He's going to be put in segregation. He's not eligible for any type of work release programs while he's in the jail. So basically, you know, Dawn Wells has to serve his entire time in segregation. But it's interesting that he wanted to commit suicide, or he told them. Was he genuine? If this is in fact true, and he said that he wanted to commit suicide, why? Was he really distraught because of the Summer situation? Summer gone, you know, anything to do with Summer, the fact that he, you know, got sentenced to jail and he didn't want to go to jail. Was it a ploy just to get attention or to get out of the general population? You know, a lot of unanswered questions, but he did go on suicide watch. And then here's another thing I was thinking about, right? Segregation, solitary confinement, restrictive housing unit. You know, you put someone in solitary confinement, right, for an extended period of time, sometimes even short periods of time. It can really mess with your brain. It really, really can mess with your brain. And I know firsthand, because you guys don't know my story. I've been in prison before in the past. You know, I know a lot about what goes on inside these prisons, inside these restrictive housing units, segregation units. You know, there's a lot of inmates that go in there and are put in segregation, willingly or not willingly. Sometimes the jail puts them in. Sometimes they do disciplinary problems. Sometimes they want to go in. But going in there for a few days, they end up trying to kill themselves while they're in the jail cell. They, you know, find something to hang themselves or cut themselves or you know, anything. They try to kill themselves because solitary confinement over time, I mean, human rights people have been spoke about solitary confinement. It is really cruel. It's inhumane. A lot of states ban solitary confinement in their jail systems. It's banned, and it's a practice that's growing right now to ban the use of solitary confinement, putting people in. Now, Dawn Wells, he's supposed to spend 6 months in solitary confinement. 6 months in solitary confinement. What is that going to do to him? Will it cause long-term effects? Will Dawn Wells cause him down the line, long-term effects of being in solitary confinement? Will he try to commit suicide? He's already allegedly said that he wanted to commit suicide. Imagine being in solitary confinement and your mind's not right. He's thinking of Summer, thinking about consequences to his actions, and he tries to do something to himself. It's a lot of possibilities here, but I just want to, share with you that solitary confinement is not easy. It's not easy for any inmates. I know many inmate friends and people that I associated with in the past that were in solitary confinement. It's a very bad, dark place. I mean, you're all by yourself in a cell. The cells are cold, usually. You get fed 3 hours, 3 times a day through a food slot. You don't come out. The walls echo. There's a window. Some places have a window where you can look out, but others it's frosted, or it's, the view out there is looking at concrete instead of outside in nature. It can really start rattling with your mind. You lose hope. You give up, Is Dawn Wells in that state of mind right now? What is Dawn Wells' state of mind right now? And then with the solitary, with the suicide watch, it's called suicide watch. So you basically, go into a jail and you tell the officials you want to commit suicide, or they got reason to believe you're going to commit suicide. They put you in a green smock, Inmates call it a turtle suit, and then you just lay on like a flat, you don't even have a mattress, a flat concrete bed, and you lay there, and you get evaluated like 3 days later. So you have to be there for at least 3 days. They got cameras in there, they watch you, you know. And then at that point, you speak to a psychologist, or you speak to a jail official, and they'll decide whether you continue to stay there, or you get out of out of that situation. You get out of the room and then put into like a segregation ward type cell where you're less monitored. But what happened to Don Wells? What is the conditions in jail that Don Wells is facing right now? Hawkins County Jail, he's not going in the general population. Being in the housing unit that he's in, the segregation unit, there's a lot of restrictions. There's restrictions on your phone calls. You just can't say, hey, I want to make a phone call like the general population do when they're out of their cells throughout the day. You can just go up to the block phones and make phone calls. He can't do that. He has to request and probably write a request to use the phone, or ask the guard to use the phone. They wheel it to him, or take him out in handcuffs, or take him out to just an area to use the phone and back. But you just can't do that every day and say, I want to make a phone call. I'm going to make a phone call. These jails have restrictions when you're in segregation or solitary. The commissary is actually less than it is in the general population. The general population has a commissary list. It's usually 2 pages. It has a lot of stuff on it, hygiene products and different food products or whatnot. But when you go to the segregation unit, it's like half that, and also, believe it or not, the prices are actually higher in segregation on the commissary prices, and he might be able to get like items, but limits to items, in the general population, you might be able to buy 2 boxes of honey buns, in a restrictive housing unit, you might only be able to buy 3 honey buns, per week. And then, of course, if you get in any disciplinary problems, while you're in jail, and a lot of people go to solitary. Let me tell you something. A lot of people in solitary don't want to be in solitary or segregation. They start screaming and yelling and going crazy, and get write-ups. And then when they get the write-ups, part of their discipline, when they see a disciplinary hearing officer in their write-ups, they lose their commissary privileges, or they lose their phone privileges. Is Don Wells making phone calls? Is he getting commissary? Was it taken away from him? I mean, once you have your commissary or phone restrictions taken away and you're in solitary, then you're in a really bad state of mind, because, you don't have food that you want. You can't make phone calls. A lot of times people get dry celled and they can't have books, or they can't even have religious material. Solitary confinement only gives you like 1 change of clothes. It's interesting because most solitary confinements will give you 1 change of clothes, and then you have to exchange it for an exchange. So basically, is like a cart comes down maybe like twice a week, and you exchange 1 clothes for 1 clothes. So it's definitely very traumatizing. You hear other people are there on the same wing of the block. They're going through their own issues medically and mentally. And they start screaming and hollering. It's noise. The sleep. Your sleep cycles get altered. It's dark. You don't see no sunlight. I mean, it could get really, really, really bad. So if you've already said and emphasized before that you wanted to commit suicide, and then you're putting into a solitary confinement situation, that just might just raise it to another level. I mean, of wanting to actually do it, because you're just in a no hope, vulnerable situation, and they're psychologists in jail. I don't know if, they're certified, but I mean, basically their solution is to medicate people, to go around to say, okay, well, you're having psychological issues. I'm going to write the script for you, take your meds. And, they don't even monitor you taking your meds most of the time. Some people want to take meds because, they want to escape the reality. And also, a lot of people in solitary, believe it or not, make, with the limited items. And that's one of the reasons why they limit items in commissary items in solitary confinement, because they don't want people to make hooch. They don't want to be, with the honey buns and the bread and the juices and stuff that you could get in the general population. In solitary, they don't allow that, because they don't want people making the hooch, because people actually do in solitary confinement make hooch. They want to, hooch is, alcohol to try to escape and try to cope. So that's what's going on. This is just stuff that I remember, when I went through the prison experience and stuff like that, wondering, Don Wells, what his, what he's doing. Like what is his daily life like? I mean, is he getting his mail? A lot of times people in solitary get their mail restricted. I mean, you're not supposed to, but the jail officials might give you your mail, but instead of giving your mail every day as it comes, they might wait a week so it piles up, then you get it. So you get the news from your family or loved ones days, it's a week passes before you even get to know what's going on. A lot of people do that in a lot of solitary. You can't get newspapers. So there you go. So reporting on the Summer Wells case. Hopefully she's found very, very soon. Always have faith and trust in the Hawkins County Sheriffs and the TBI, back law enforcement when it comes to these things. These kids have to be found. There you go. So God bless. Hope you enjoyed a little bit about info about solitary confinement. I know firsthand. So take care. God bless. Be safe.